Okay, well, it's 9:02. We've still got a lot of people coming in, but I think we'll go ahead and get started. So I want to thank everybody for joining today's webinar presented by Rigado and AWS. Our webinar subject today is the Allegro Kit for AWS. And I'd like to start by welcoming our guest. So my name's Steve Garetta, Director of Product at Rigado. If you're familiar with Rigado, you've seen me on some other webinars presenting our solution. We have a special guest today, Geoffroy. Say hello to everyone. Geoffroy is our solutions architect for travel and hospitality. Geoffroy, welcome today.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Steve. Happy to be here.
So we're really excited. We're going to go through just a couple of quick housekeeping notes before we kick off the content. Today's presentation will be about 30 to 40 minutes, so we'll have plenty of time for Q&A after that. A couple of reminders. The presentation will be recorded, and everybody that registered and attended will have access to the recording. So we won't send the slide deck, but you'll get the recording with all the content and all the video and the slides in the demo. So don't worry about that. If you have questions throughout the presentation, please put them in the Q&A panel in Zoom. You'll see not the chat panel, but the Q&A panel. That's a real easy way for us to moderate the Q&A, see which ones we've answered. If we don't get to them all, you can drop us a line afterwards. If you have something specific for Geoffroy, you have our email address there, but we'll try to get to as many of those as we can. And then please stay till the end because we have a special promotion we're going to talk about that our friends at AWS have put together around the Allegro Kit. So without further ado, let's get into the agenda for today. I'm going to go through a quick introduction of Rigado and our Edge as a Service solution, talk a little bit about who we are, but we're really going to dive into IoT for commercial spaces and challenges for solution providers and why we've created this Allegro Kit. We just announced it yesterday. We're really excited about it. It's something that we've been working with AWS on for several months, and we're going to really dive deep into it and then do a demo and even talk about a deployment we already have with one of our partners. And then we'll get into the Q&A. So as we go along here, I'll bring Geoffroy in to provide some insights into what AWS does and what they built with this new Quick Start. But first, I just want to share a few things about Rigado. Rigado provides edge data networks. We bring real-time data from commercial spaces to applications that run on AWS. And what we're going to show today is that in action, a real live sensor network. I'm here still working in my home office, but we can essentially look at it as an office that we've outfitted with one of these Allegro kits. And all the different things from occupancy, activity, location, status that you can put throughout different commercial spaces and bring them into the AWS IoT ecosystem with IoT Core, S3, Sitewise, and QuickSight. So that's Rigado in a nutshell. We're all about creating an edge infrastructure that you as an SI, an SP, an enterprise can bring into an application of your choosing. So stepping back, Rigado has a lot of experience in low power wireless networks, edge connectivity, edge computing, and software. We focus on offices, retail, logistics. We have a large partner ecosystem and a wide variety of sensor devices that can collect data from those markets and bring them into cloud platforms really seamlessly. We do this in a special way. We actually don't put our own cloud application in front of everything. Our focus is really on instrumenting the edge environment so that customers can get that data into the place of their choosing. We work with a variety of partners. Obviously, today we're going to be really focused on AWS as our launch partner for Allegro. And we have enterprise IoT partners that are providing applications and even some point solutions that do very specific things running through our edge computing platform. So I want to jump into why we're here and what is the real challenge that we've seen in this IoT space. there's a lot of data. If you look at the most common one from the IoT signals reports is that a lot of these projects for these commercial spaces, whether it's asset monitoring or condition monitoring, even commercial real estate occupancy and analysis, a lot of these things fail early on in the proof of concept stage. We see it over and over again. And the top reasons given are they're too complicated. The ROI is unclear. Maybe they built something, but they didn't really know until it was, they were way down the path and they spent a year building it that it wasn't going to make any money. Or it doesn't scale. Maybe they built it once in a lab and then they took it out into the real world and realized, wow, this is really hard to install and the economics don't scale very well. So at Rigado, we've been faced with this with partners all the time. They come to us and they do a POC and then they hit one of these hurdles. And we said, well, what we really need to do is accelerate the proof of concept, because on average, and I think a lot of you in our audience probably have experienced this, the average IoT pilot takes about 11 months. So if you spend 11 months doing that first step, it's really hard to build a business around that that's repeatable. And so what we've done with the kit strategy that we've put together at Rigado is build something that can be done in a few days, but that also can scale when you decide you want to do it over and over again in a larger enterprise. And that is what the Allegro Kit is all about. It is taking a process that could normally take weeks and months down to a few days and not require a lot of coding, a lot of custom development to get to that decision if you're going to go or no go with a particular project. Because as we know, not every project is going to become a large production scale operation, right? Some customers just don't get there, but we want to be able to take the ones that do get there to market really fast. So we're here for you. As our audience, I think, is largely made up of IoT solution builders, systems integrators, solution providers, maybe even some end customers that are looking to do a project themselves. We have built this for you to be able to put something together and bring it to market really, really fast. So with that, I'm proud to announce the Allegro Kit for AWS. The Allegro Kit is something that Rigado has built that takes our gateway and our edge sensor network all together and packages it up into a very simple onboarding experience so that you can build a POC and a pilot really fast using Amazon Sitewise and QuickSight. And what we're going to show you today is how easy that is to do. And the reason for having such a kit is you can set it up in a few minutes. By the time you're done setting it up, you're going to be able to show real world live data scenarios for a lot of different spaces. We're going to talk about travel and hospitality a lot today because that's the group at AWS that recently awarded us a competency and has built this quick start that this whole thing rides on. But there's a variety of spaces that this could be applicable to. And the great thing about these kits is they use production level devices, the sensors, the gateway, the software, what we call Edge Connect, running on the gateway that has these recipes that makes it all work. So you can start really simply with an Allegro Kit, get on board in a few minutes, and you're on your way to building a scalable solution on AWS IoT. So a few things that I like to talk about when we bring up these kits in Allegro is, as I mentioned, travel hospitality is a great lead. There's a lot going on there as everybody comes back into restaurants and those different spaces that travel and hospitality runs in. But you'll see that our sensor devices are applicable to retail, commercial real estate, logistics and asset monitoring. And so you can build workflows and use cases around those different industries using the same devices. And the great thing is there's a repeatability to all of this you're going to see when we get into the demo. I've listed a few example workflows and the ROI focus. It's one thing to be able to say, yeah, we can get sensor data streaming into a dashboard really fast. But the real thing that you want to get to is seeing that data and seeing a customer react to that data and say, oh yeah, I can save money in my business with this, or I can turn around and monetize this data. So that's really what this is all about. And when we get into some of the use cases and examples, even the first deployment we've done with one of our partners on the Allegro Kit, that becomes really, really clear. I've listed out a few of the sensors. These are kind of the most popular ones. And you'll notice that we really cover basically everything you could want to see or learn or interact with an edge network. These are largely Bluetooth low power wireless devices. If you know Rigado, you know that we're best in Bluetooth. We have a few Ethernet connected devices and some Wi-Fi sensors, but for the most part, everything you'll see here is BLE. And the great thing about that is that they're very simple to install. And as we get into the demo, I'm going to be showing some of that. And they all flow through our software platform that runs on a gateway on premises that is collecting all of it and feeding it into Sitewise and QuickSight. So you can start to see here that you're going to be able to mix and match the ingredients of your own Allegro kit and create the experience you want to bring into that customer environment. So let me step back and talk about how this all works. And in a minute, I'm going to bring Geoffrey in here to talk about the AWS angle of this. Rigado, obviously on the left side of this picture, we provide the Bluetooth connectivity, the data collection, the orchestration of that device, making sure that that edge network is really healthy so that those use cases can actually succeed. But it has to have a place to go. As I mentioned before, Rigado does not build the full stack. We don't control everything. You have a lot of flexibility with where that data goes and how you use it. If you want to send it to a custom mobile application or you want to put it into a CRM tool, ERP tool, that's up to you. But we want to start with a place for it to land. And so we've created this integration using the AWS Quick Start that will land that data in Sitewise, which is a real-time tracking tool for the data. You're going to see a real-time dashboarding. And then and you can do some modeling and monitoring with that. And then secondarily, with the Allegro Kit, you also get a pre-built integration into a full suite of BI tools with Amazon QuickSight. So you can look at large swaths of data and do trend analysis, prediction analysis, and bring in external data sources to combine it all. So you really, with this kit, you get 2 levels of application right out of the gate to start playing with. It's super exciting. Now, none of that would have been possible without some way to put this all together. For those of you that have worked with these technologies before, you know that as powerful as they are, they can also be fairly complicated to put together. And you don't want to have to build all that from scratch every time you want to do a POC or a pilot in the IoT space. So we got together with our friends at AWS on the travel hospitality site and entered Geoffrey, who said, hey, we could automate that into something we call a quick start. And on the Rigado side, we said, well, we know how to automate the onboarding of the gateway. If we put those two together, we can make this happen really, really fast. So we created this quick start. And Geoffrey, I'd like to bring you in just for a moment to tell everybody that might not know what a quick start is. What is that? And how have you distilled all this down into a few simple clicks that can be done in just a few minutes? Geoffrey, do we have you?
Yes, sorry. So yes, what we thank you, Steve. What we hear a lot from our customers is their desire to generate value from data, business value from data. Particularly recently in travel and hospitality, we have heard a lot from our QSR and restaurants customer how they want to make their kitchen smarter and leverage this data to find optimizations in terms of operations, cost savings. And they want to know how many times per day the fridge is open or if the oven is left on without anything in it. Be able to streamline these kitchen operations. But you can really only leverage and unleash value from this data once you are able to not only have access to this data, but have access to the tools to analyze and visualize it. So that's what we wanted to tackle with this quick start, is to be able to address that particular problem and make it a lot faster for our customer to be able to get the data to a place and to a state in which they can easily drill down into it, analyze it, visualize it, and unleash this business value. It's essentially accelerating the time to insights of this data. And so we have this tool as part of AWS, this program that we call QuickStart, which consists in building a completely automated a set of AWS resources that you can deploy in your own AWS account with just a few clicks in order to get you faster to a state when you can start working on your business application. So in this particular quick starts, we are tackling three main parts that we wanted to help our customer accelerate. First one is in onboarding. So onboarding on the device side is something that's on the Rigado side. You've become very efficient. You have wizards. You're able to load the certificates in the device and configure the gateway. On the AWS side, you do need to create some resources on our IoT core platform in order for those devices to be visible and onboarded and being able to start on use cases such as device shadows. So what we did is we created a simple serverless microservice. The serverless part is important because it means it doesn't cost anything in idle. If you don't use it, it doesn't cost you anything. It's built on Amazon API Gateway and AWS Lambda and DynamoDB, which allow you to, in a simple REST call, create all the IoT resources in the cloud that allow to bridge the physical device and the cloud and securely start sending data. So integrating this into the Rigado wizard, integrating this microservice means that you can just launch the quick starts, get the output values from an email, and then enter them, and Steve is going to show this afterwards, enter them in the wizard so that the device can be configured with all the security, the certificates, and all the required parameter configuration so that the data can start flowing immediately. And while building this quick start as well, we went through back and forth with the Rigado team to debug and to tune and to make it efficient so that our customer don't have to go through those issues again. So we solve those issues in advance for our customers so that they just can onboard the Rigado gateway and start seeing the data flowing from those sensors. And in order to go a little faster for our customer afterwards in accelerating our time to insight, we created two, we'll call that example usage, because every single of our customer will have a very specific use case that they will have to address. But we wanted to show two simple cases. So this is the bottom part of the screen, how to ingest data in a real-time context and use AWS IoT Sitewise in order to visualize the data live in dashboards, and also how to ingest this data into an IoT data lake for a posteriori visualization, which in this case, just ingest the data, store it securely in a long-term, low-cost, highly durable storage that is Amazon S3 in a raw data form, so you never lose a single piece of that data. And then create small ETLs on top of this in order to make them available through our analytics and visualization tool, Amazon QuickSight. So when you deploy this quick start, if you choose to use Amazon QuickSight, that's what you get out of the box. You get this onboarding service integrated with the Rigado wizard, so you can, in a few clicks, onboard your gateway, and you get a real-time pipeline to visualize your data using AWS IoT Sitewise, and you get an IoT data lake stack in order to ingest for the long term your data, save it securely on Amazon S3, and visualize it using analyze it and visualize it using Amazon QuickSight. And all of this is deployed through a pipeline so that you can, from that proof of concept, once it's working and once you have identified your business opportunity and your business value, scale this very easily using modern development practices such as CI/CD and DevOps in order to scale proof of concept into an entire large-scale IoT project, regardless of the size of your company. And a lot of our customers who have been successful in that space tell us that what makes them successful is the ability to start small and to scale fast and iterate quickly, which is exactly what we were going for with this quick start.
Yeah, and it's what's really exciting to me about this is you're kind of getting 3 for 1. You get the ease of a kit, which people like to talk about, but a lot of kits don't take you very far. But you get the kit plus real-time visualization of what the kit and the sensors are doing, and you can quickly test out use cases, which I'm going to show here. But you also get the longevity, you get the scale, you get something that you can actually build around if you want to do it hundreds and thousands of times at different sites. And you don't have to completely pivot what you're working on if a customer says, yeah, I want to roll that out to scale. So really impressed here. And I think we're going to show it in action now, because really it resonates when you start to see how this data can act in throughout the whole quick start process. So thank you for that. Let me flip over to share my browser, because we're going to start to see some data. So first, let's bring that up. Okay, so we're not going to go through the 10, 15-minute process of building the application. What we're going to do is just show you kind of the key screens, and then we're going to get into the live data example. So if you've ever used a Rigado kit before, you've probably seen something like this. We call it the onboarding wizard. It's really simple. You're going to get, if you deploy one of these kits, you're going to get something like you see me holding in my hand here on the camera. One of our Cascade gateways. The little light on top is green. That tells me it's connected it online. You can see on the screen it says it's online. And we walk you through a very simple couple of steps here to get onboarded. Now, normally I would install a new app and it'll reroute me to the quick start like Geoffrey described, and it would deploy the quick start. And then all we do is plug in the data from that quick start into this site. You're literally copying and pasting things in to get it all kind of securely programmed to make sure that only your sensors are going to only your application. It really just takes a few minutes. And there's great documentation along the way. And in fact, this just went live this week. So I'm going to show you what that quick start onboarding looks like. You can see this now in the quick start catalog. And it's a very simple, you recognize this picture that Geoffrey just discussed. Here's what you're going to build. 1, 2, 3 steps to deploy it. And there's some great assistance in terms of documentation here for how to go through it. And really, once you do that, you're going to be up and running with a deployment that you can scale up, scale down, very cost effective for small pox, but gets you everything you need to start building some dashboard applications. So after you get your kit, physically get your kit, most of the sensors, you simply pull the tabs on them or press a button to activate them, because they're all battery operated, really simple to set up. You add them to your probably add them to your Sitewise dashboard so that you can see that the data is flowing. And I brought up here the Sitewise dashboard for the kit that I have in my house. This is the gateway I just held up here. I'm surrounded by sensors. And what I want to really convey here are a couple things. One is the value that you can get from this type of data, but also the variety. We're bringing in sensors from different types of manufacturers that do different things, but putting them all into one place. So you can see the temperature, desk occupancy. I'm sitting at my desk, so you can see why it's green. I've got another one upstairs. We've got buttons. I've got asset tags and door sensors. And you'll see that it's all streaming real time. I mean, every second it's updating. But what's kind of neat is if you go back in time here, let's say I go back the last hour, you'll notice that the temperature was creeping up because I came downstairs and turned on my space heater down here. You can see that that the occupancy was kind of shifting around a little bit upstairs. you can start to understand, what's been going on in a particular space. And so this is really easy to build around. If a customer is looking for an occupancy study, or they want to monitor traffic in a space, they want to do condition monitoring in a retail environment or grocery. These are really easy things to just drop in and start showing them. I'll do a quick example. I have this button here. We call it the flick button. And when I press this button, it's going to register a button click right there, right on the timeline. And if I do a whole bunch of them, you'll see more coming up. So you're not going to do something like stare at a dashboard of button clicks. What you're going to do is take that button click and use it to send an alert somewhere, maybe to an email system, maybe to a Slack channel, wherever it may go. But what this is showing you is how real time that data is. I'm going to pick up my asset tag here, this little menu E8. I'm going to shake it around a little bit, and we should see the XYZ on it start to go a little, get a little active there because I'm moving it around. So you put this onto a valuable asset that you want to track on a customer site. If it starts moving, you can alert and say, hey, that device is on the move. We've had customers attach these to fire extinguishers and make sure that, okay, the fire extinguisher, if that moves, I need to know that somebody picked it up and moved it somewhere. A forklift, all sorts of different uses for that. I've got a door sensor here. I can open the door, and we should see one of these door sensors flip from 0 to 1 for the door sensor. There you go. The door is open. Now, QuickSight here, we're going to get to in a minute, but Sitewise, I think, is great for that first step of just saying, is this technology going to, am I going to cover the space with the number of sensors I have? How does the data come in formatted? Is it useful? And, is it all built out? Did it work? The answer obviously is going to be yes, but, and you can do a little bit of historic stuff. Like if you go into the last day, this is kind of cool because you can see my desk, obviously overnight, is pretty empty. But you can see when I got up and got going this morning, you start to see the occupancy start to go green. So step one, build your Sitewise dashboard, get these different measurements in there, start to show, even in some basic use cases, the value of that data. Step two is evolving that into an application like QuickSight here. And what QuickSight is a BI tool. It allows you to look at days, weeks, perhaps months of information, depending on how much you want to store, and really analyze what's going on bigger picture. What are the weekly trends in temperature? What is the trend over time of the refrigerators that are running in a coffee shop? What is the air quality like, in the office? What is the occupancy like at the different desks we have? Everybody right now is talking about returning to work and office spaces and hot desking, hoteling. You can take these small occupancy sensors like I showed, and that will give you the real-time occupancy of each space that it's in front of with this little lens cover. And that's a very easy way to measure occupancy and utilization of a particular space. Now you'll notice the difference between Sitewise and QuickSight is that I've started to see this tab over here with suggested insights, trends, aggregations, anomalies. So if I scroll down here, if I can find the scroll bar, you're going to see some anomalies detected. Now, we haven't really built this out, to the extent that you can. We ourselves are starting to just see the power of this tool with some of this data. But here's a good example. You can put a temperature sensor into, a kitchen area, or put multiple temperature sensors around and see if any of them gets out of range or is seeing something that it shouldn't be seeing. And you can add those anomaly detectors to QuickSight and monitor them in the background. So it's really easy to build these when you have this Allegro kit, because you don't have to spend all of your time trying to code up the data to match what QuickSight needs. It's all done for you ahead of time. That quick start that Joffrey and the team built takes care of all of that. So you can literally just get in and start dragging and dropping sensors. I even, I use this for the first time myself, a couple of weeks ago. I went in and started dropping in my own dashboard. In this case, I was using our people counter. So we have our APS 90E, real-time people counter, and I can track the entrance counts into my office here because I have it hanging over the door. And you can see that it roughly lines up with my desk occupancy. Sometimes people are coming in and sitting on the couch, but for the most part, you see a pretty good alignment between entrance counts to my office, desk occupancy rate. So those are just some examples of dashboards you can easily build. And we've already had some people build this out for customers. And I'm going to get in that case study a little bit more in a minute, but I think what was impressive to them was how little time they actually spent putting this together, which allowed them more time to talk to their customer about the possibilities of using this data in their enterprise. Jafar, I want to bring you in again to talk about QuickSight because as an AWS insider, you certainly know more about it. You've built a lot of this. Give us some other color commentary on what this is about and what you can do with it.
Yeah, what we kind of discovered once we had ingested a meaningful amount of data, because we have had this sandbox running for more than a month now. So we have millions of data points. So we're able to assess for scalability and cost optimizations, and we try to make it so that out of the box it's very cheap and simple and fast to get those visualization immediately. And the way we're going with QuickSight is making it more and more user-friendly for non-technical users to get insights. So we recently released, for example, QuickSight Q, which lets you ask natural language formulated questions against your data, such as you could ask, okay, when is the last time my fridge temperature dropped below that specific value, for example. And also integrating machine learning insights directly into visualizations. And the objectives, again, is the same, the accelerating time to insights. And like with many data projects, what we usually realize is that the more data you visualize, the more opportunities you find to generate these values. So QuickSight is a great tool to do exactly this. And we have optimized it not to query the million data points you have ingested since the beginning of the year, but just to query a couple days and to have refreshing data at a rate that is infrequent enough so that it does not generate unnecessary cost, but frequent enough so that you can get this continuous visualization into your data. So those are just a few examples of what you can do with QuickSight, but you can create your calculated field. You have many more type of visualizations, more and more query capability, more machine learning insights. And I'm very looking forward to see what our QuickSight product team is going to come up in the next few months, because it will be usable out of the box for people who have already set up their IoT insights platform using Amazon QuickSight.
Yeah, it's amazing how we see from the Rigado side, we see a lot of projects kind of going into two buckets. One is, hey, I just need simple instrumentation of temperature, humidity, occupied or not, button pressed or not. And that stuff is obviously really easy to do with something like the Allegro Kit and the Sitewise and QuickSight that we put together. And those could be very valuable projects. They can scale quickly because they're very easy to repeat. The other thing that we've seen a lot of are, I want to do something really sophisticated. I want to have a people counter tell me precisely the number of people that went in this direction or that direction when they entered the store, or how many people, what is the true occupancy of the restroom, because when it reaches a certain capacity, we need to send a message to a digital display, or when a number of people use it, we need to schedule it for cleaning. And that could tie into multiple devices, have a more sophisticated workflow and logic. And that is also possible with the Allegro Kit. So really you can start with one and build for multiple types of customers, and it uses the same foundation, and it also scales up and down in cost depending on how deep you need the data to be, historically, How many sensors do you want to put out there? So a lot of flexibility here. And it's a new kit we've launched here. So we're just getting started, but I'm going to flip over to my slides real quick because I want to share with you one case study we already basically have with this. So back to PowerPoint. So we had a partner come to us a few weeks ago, and Joffrey and I were in the process of building this, getting it ready to go. And they said, hey, we've got a project and it's a tight timeline. Sorry, we're coming to you late, but in about a week, we need to propose something to a large restaurant delivery service. And they really they need to monitor their kitchens. They need temperature monitoring, and they need it fast. Their old solution isn't working. And so they said, we need it good and fast, and we need some flexibility because we want to add more stuff later. Well, in the past, this has been really challenging, right? We've had to spend a lot of time building things out and trying to understand how this is all going to work really quickly, and it would be hard to do that in a few days. But essentially, because we had the Allegro Kit coming, we sent them the Allegro Kit. We shipped it to them. It took them longer, basically, to get it in the mail because it was overseas. It was in the UK. Than it did for them to actually plug it in and set it up. When they got it, they plugged it in online with LTE because we include some LTE service with the Allegro Kit. Got the temperatures up and sensors up and running, and within a couple of days, they actually took it to one of their kitchens, installed it, showed the Sitewise QuickSight dashboards to the customer, and the customer's like, "Wow, that was pretty fast. We were only expecting a verbal proposal, not an actual live demo in one of our kitchens." And the SI, in their case, they look like heroes, right? They over-delivered, and that just gives them a ton of confidence for doing these things going forward. So it was win all around, and it was using essentially the Allegro Kit that is now available to everybody out there. So the quote from this SI was, normally that 6-week process, it normally would take that long, only took a few days. And they were just, really, really excited about that. And that project continues right now. Now they can accelerate the conversation around value, right? This is all about talking about the value. You didn't just want to see temperature, you wanted to see if there was a problem with the refrigerator or the freezer. And now also, when you start to see that data flowing, it raises other questions that you can answer with these sensor networks. So super exciting on that. And again, that partnership with us and AWS really made that happen. So just to wrap up here, a few ideas for inspiration. You'll see a lot of this on our website and us talking about the different spaces that these sensors can go into. Obviously, the quick serve small format, the example I just gave, is a really popular one. It's great because you can easily do a pilot in one store and then just copy and paste it to a lot of other stores. It's very easy to cover it with Bluetooth and with the types of sensors that we have. The people counter has also become very popular because it provides real-time accuracy and real-time and accurate people counts and zone occupancy. But you'll notice a theme here when I talk about retail use cases in this type of a space. And then I flip to the next slide and talk about smart buildings and office. Well, a lot of the sensors are the same. The people counter, the buttons, the employee badges. In this case, we have the occupancy sensor. And so it's the same infrastructure, the same sensors, and the same deployment into the cloud with AWS QuickSight and Sitewise. So you don't have to get a different kit from a different vendor every time you want to prove a different concept in different customers. You can get it once and reuse it for those different types of locations. Restaurants as well, put sensors around, monitor cleaning, monitor servicing. There's just a lot of different ways you can do that. We have status displays that can be put on the outside of restrooms or areas that need attention. So really, as I mentioned at the start of this all, Rigado doesn't build the end customer application. We provide you the edge network that you need to build that application around. so that you can go and do that for a customer when they have a project. And so the time to come to us for an Allegro Kit is when you either want to start building something up front, you have an idea and you want to go and bring that to market, and you need something to get that edge data. You've got what we call a data gap. Or if a customer comes to you and says, hey, I've got a project, can you do this? Do you have a sensor that can do this? Can it bring this kind of data in to our system? Then feel free to reach out to us and talk about it, and we'll see if we can help you out. So I want to get to some questions. I know we've had a few coming in. Just to wrap up, how do you get started? It's super easy. You can go and order a kit. You basically order it online. You can go into rigado.com/Allegro. You can pick the sensors that you want. You get with the Allegro Kit. We include the Cascade Gateway. We give you 90 days of LTE service just to make it super simple. A lot of people use Ethernet, but it's super convenient if you want to just use LTE as well. And then you can actually use that same kit if you want to scale it up into a production subscription. It's really easy. So like I said, all this is production gear. We're not shipping you just a board. It's an actual production device. You're going to install the gateway. Literally, you plug this thing in, give it power, the light will go green, and then take the different sensors, pull the tabs. You can, for the little flick button I've got here, you press the button and it's online. It's as simple as that. And then you run through that setup wizard. We send you an email, a couple of clicks. You'll go through the quick start. It'll deploy it. I think it takes about 10 minutes. It's, and there's not a lot you have to do. Again, it's a no code experience there. And then you start to build your dashboard and apps. And, Geoffroy and the team are here to help. Should any questions arise with the quick start, obviously Rigado is there to support you through the entire process. You bring your own AWS account subscription. So really it's just, buy the kit from Rigado, use your AWS account, and you're on your way. And with that, I also want to mention a special promotion. Our friends at AWS were generous enough to provide some service credits. So we've got 10 of these credits, and we decided, well, we really want to get some of these IoT builders excited about putting something together here. And maybe you already have a customer in mind, you have a project in mind you want to talk to us about, that's great. If you take the step and purchase an Allegro Kit, we can offer a $500 service credit, compliments of AWS. So there'll be more details around that when you actually order the kit. We'll follow up, but there's no commitment involved. You simply just need to purchase the kit one time, and then you can get a service credit, which can be used to pay for the AWS aspect of the kit utilization or anything else. So thank you to our partners at AWS for providing that. This has been a great collaboration. We're really excited about this kit. And if our first kit installation deployment was any indication, if you're a solution provider, SI, or even an enterprise end customer that wants to do something in-house, I think you're going to be very satisfied with your experience of deploying the Allegro Kit and what it can do for your business. So with that, thank you all for your attendance. I know we've got some questions coming in. I want to especially thank Geoffroy for his participation, not just on the webinar, but in frankly building a lot of this. We couldn't be here without him and the whole team at the AWS Travel and Hospitality Group. And so with that, I'm going to open it up for questions. I know we've had some in the background. Kevin Tate, I think, has been in there answering a bunch.
Yeah, Steve, can you hear me okay?
Yes, Kevin, what do we got? Anything we can address?
Awesome, great questions. Thanks everyone for sending them in. I got to a couple in the chat, but let me talk about some live here. So a number of questions about kind of what the business relationship is. Does a customer need to work with both Amazon and Rigado? Maybe you could talk a little bit about how that works for the kit.
Yeah, so for the kit, I might have just touched on this, but when you buy the kit from Rigado because it's Rigado devices. When you install the kit, you will use your own AWS account subscription or your customer's subscription. So the data, when you go into Sitewise and QuickSight, it'll go onto their account. So Rigado is not involved there. So it's really pretty clean. Buy the gear from Rigado, installed on AWS. We'll obviously support that, continue to support it, support the experience, any questions you have in AWS as well. Yeah, hopefully it's pretty simple from that standpoint.
Sounds great. A number of questions, as you might expect, about the sensors, including can we add non-Rigado sensors to the kit or to the solution? And how far apart can the sensors and gateways be?
Yeah, so I'll do the first one pretty quickly in terms of range. Bluetooth will get you, depending on the type of space, anywhere from 30 to 50 feet to 100 feet or more if it's a really open area. We typically tell people, when you're planning, assume about 5,000 square feet of coverage for one of these cascade gateways. But there are obviously some events that are a little more challenged, particularly in a kitchen area where there's a lot of heavy doors and refrigerators and walls and things. So there's some planning you have to do there to account for that. One interesting kind of mitigation, for instance, is in the refrigerator, we have this sensor version that has an external probe. I'm holding it up here, that you can actually put inside the refrigerator freezer, keep the reader on the outside, so you vastly increase your range. So there's, rule of thumb, assume about 50 feet, 100 feet. You can get more in an open area, 5,000 square feet per gateway, but there's also some ways to extend that, mitigate that. We could put multiple gateways out there. In terms of supporting non-Rigado sensors, there's really two paths. One is if it's something that is Bluetooth, based on Bluetooth that you want to work with us to kind of get into our portfolio, we can do that. And the nice thing about that is that we can bring it into the full plug and play experience. Alternatively, although we would love to use only Rigado sensors all the time, the deployment that Joffrey has built does allow for other devices to come into play. You have to do a little bit more work there. You won't get the plug and play experience of it. That becomes more of a coding, I'd say a low code experience, but that is certainly supported. Joffrey, I'll let you add any comment you want there.
Yeah, the idea is we went for this kit, use elasticity in terms of traffic and extendability in terms of functionality. So you can onboard any device that is connectable to our MQTT broker, which is a AWS IoT core. This being said, as Steve mentioned, we have significantly optimized the setup for sensors exposed through the Rigado gateway. Especially when it comes to dashboards, for example, and rules that ingest real-time traffic. So if you do use different sensors that are not specifically going through the gateway, you can still do the onboarding through the microservice that we expose, but you will have to set up the device yourself by setting up the certificates and the public and private key and do all these connectivity things yourself, which is as easy as it can be in a standard IoT context. It's just not as seamless as we wanted to make this for that kit, because you will most probably experience have to do a little bit of troubleshooting, and as it is always the case for connectivity projects of new IoT devices.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And Kevin, I'm seeing a few questions here about cost. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in and ask Joffrey to share a little bit about kind of rough estimated cost, how you handle the cost of a deployment like this, because I've done a lot of analysis on it.
Yeah, so once you've purchased, one of the idea that we had also to run a sandbox of that kit for the past 2 months is to be able to really get a hard look on cost and cost optimization. Once you have purchased your kit, the only cost that you have is regarding AWS service consumption. And what you have is generally for each part of the stack, the microservice is not going to cost more than a few cents unless you onboard tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of devices of gateway, actually. So it's not going to be significant. The data ingestions, IoT core rule, and data storage are going to be the principal cost on the data side, and then the subscription to QuickSight as a monthly cost that is detailed on the AWS side, which is not very expensive for basic usage. And then Sitewise also has a cost for access to the dashboard. But when it comes to scaling up, the cost is going to be very much proportional to the amount of sensors that you have and the frequency of traffic they send, essentially. What we have done is deeply optimize the IoT data lake ETL scripts so that we only query strictly what we need to add additional data. We also optimize the query that is done by QuickSight so that we only get from S3 the files that we need for that specific display. We set up the ETL frequency so that it costs the lowest possible while still having data every day when you log in. And the idea behind is we wanted to get it as low as possible. So in the example that we have, which would correspond to a setup that you will find in a medium-sized smart kitchen, for example, we managed to make it the running cost, not including QuickSight and Sitewise, but just the running cost of data as low as $1 per day. Basically, in the example that we did, which had 12 devices sending 80 messages per minute, about something like this. So that is the idea. We want to make it as cost efficient as possible to start using, and then as you scale up, you will have the opportunity to optimize further based on your use case. And one of the interesting optimization parameters that you can use as well is the frequency of messages that are advertised by the device, which is configurable on the Rigado side as well. So you can really tune your costs very precisely on the device side and on the AWS side. And that's we're really shooting for elasticity in this case, so that we can address small organizations business case as well as a very large global organization that are willing to put thousands of devices in many locations and kitchens and offices.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Geoffrey. Kevin, we got time for a few more?
Yeah. Hey, some great questions about how to build your own visualizations or alerts, or even go beyond the dashboard shown there and into other systems.
Okay,
Want to talk a little bit about how customers do that?
Yeah, I can take this one as well. One of the cornerstone of the AWS part of things is our AWS MQTT broker, AWS IoT Core, and so all the traffic that is sent by the Rigado kit is going to transit through that broker, and you can just, not even coding anything, add any rule that you want following the AWS documentation. So you click add rule, and we have a lot of pre-configured rules that you can ingest in DynamoDB, send some notification, you can send the data to IoT events. We send it naturally to S3 as part of the IoT data lake and to Sitewise for certain sensor out of the box. But you can duplicate those rules, you can create as many as you want within the limitation of our service documentation. So extendability is really easy. And from that point on, you can use our 200 plus services to build essentially whatever your imagination gets you to. And that's what I like the most about the decision and that service, the IoT Core service, is that it's really customizable by simply setup from the AWS console.
And Geoffrey, one more I saw in here. What interest do you think the local AWS sales team will have in engaging and or helping? So tell us about the AWS go-to-market aspect of this.
Yeah, so what we like to do is, I can talk specifically for travel and hospitality practice, but what we like to do is to keep our finger on the pulse of our customers. So we listen to what they tell us in travel and hospitality, in the smart kitchen, in the requirements and the change requests that they do to our services to build an image of what our customer would like from us in order to help them address their challenges. And so when we have this view from an industry perspective, then we bring those tools, like those kits and those quick starts, to our service team through internal webinars, through reusable content inside AWS to help our account team best address the need of our customer. And that's how we so we have multiple initiatives internally at AWS to make sure that when we build something like this, it's reachable and known by every single field sales team that we have that potentially see a benefit for their account.
Great. And I saw one more around COVID and safe working environments. So this is near and dear to our heart at Rigado because we've done a lot in safe workplaces, return to work. I don't have time in the 3 minutes to go through the whole story, but I'd certainly direct you to our website, and I'll just briefly say that all of the things we've talked about with occupancy sensors, people counting, tracking of assets and employee badges lends itself to both understanding capacity and spacing of employees when they're in the office, but also the cleaning staff and cleaning schedules, restrooms. All those things are really easy to instrument and bring up into those facility management tools, workplace management solutions. So there's a lot of capability. Also, we have CO2 monitors that can be put in for air quality and airflow. So lots of capabilities there around safe workplaces. And again, reach out to us for more details, or feel free to check out on our website how you could use this kit to put together a solution like that. Well, I think we got all of them, Geoffroy. So thanks a lot. I don't see any more open questions. I'm sure we'll get some more afterwards. We're just about at the top of the hour. So again, thank you to everybody for attending, for the great questions you brought in. And Geoffroy and the team, great job. It was a lot of fun. I'm really excited to get these kits out there and see what we can do and really changing how people feel about going to market with a smart spaces solution.
Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Have a good day.